Welcome to Mondo, an interview series where we talk to mixed media and fiber artists all around the world. And today we have a very special guest for you. You're going to love this. So, you know, put all the other windows out because you want to be focusing on this. His pieces are jaw-dropping. You're going to love his style for sculpting. And of course, we are going to see a little bit about the place he lives in, his studio, lots of stuff for you. But before we go there, a few announcements. First of all, we are live, and the main reason we are live is because we really like your interaction with us. You have a chat box either beside or below the video, depending on where you're watching. Use the chat box not only to interact with the people watching, but to send questions to these amazing artists. So anytime you want, just ask a question. I'll get here on my computer, and of course, I will ask him, and he will answer directly to you. We also ask you to share this content. This is content only, nothing is going to be sold here, so you're safe to post this on groups on social media. You know, start to post yourself and put on your profile. If you see a post about this, you know, just comment on that. All those things help with visibility, help to get the word out about this artist, and also what we do here, that is to highlight the work of artists all around the world. Now, we are going to be talking about a product that is called Paverpol. Actually, it's a line of products. So in any point in time that you say, okay, I never heard of this, or I don't know how where to go get this products, well, at the bottom of the screen, you're always going to see three websites. Okay, Paverpolamerica.com is if you are in the United States. So you go check there if you are in the United States. Or escapes.yolast.com is if you're in Newfoundland, for example, that's where you want to go. And Paverpol.com, if you click on distributors, you're going to see a list of countries and distributors all around the world. So wherever you are located, there is a distributor around you, so go check for those and, you know, get in touch with them. You're going to see that there are many opportunities besides the product itself. So make sure you find where your distributor is for your area, okay? So this is important because every single time we say, but what is this? I want to know more. Is this a product as well? Can I take a course? Can I become a teacher and teach these techniques? I think I could do that. Well, you need to find a distributor in your area first, and then everything goes from there. So those are my announcements. I now want to invite here Dwight Saunders from Newfoundland. How are you doing today, Dwight?
I'm super. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to have you here. We were just talking about the beautiful place where you live, and you told me that there are 5,000 people there, right?
There is 5,000 people, and we have almost a square kilometer of land per person.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Dwight, first of all, I want to ask you what attracted you to art in general? How long have you been in touch with art? And then how you became a sculptor?
Well, as a kid, my grandmother was very inspiring. My grandmother created quilts and clothing,
Uh-huh.
and she had a wonderful Singer sewing machine that did not have a motor on it. So, as children, she would allow us to turn the handle for her as she sewed. And my grandmother was also a rug maker, so I learned rug making with her. And naturally, that's my biggest inspiration.
Tell me about the rug making. Was it rug hooking or another technique or tapestry? What was it exactly?
She did utilitarian rugs that were made
Wow.
from old clothing, and
Oh,
I still do the same technique today.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I want to see some. And how did you get in touch with the sculpting side and Paverpol?
Uh, 10 years ago, I became very interested in wanting to explore more ways to work with fiber. I've always been a fiber artist ever since I was a child. I own my own clothing line for 25 years. I
Wow.
custom wedding gowns. And big garments was no longer something I wanted to handle, and I didn't like custom work anymore. So I wanted to have a medium that was somewhat familiar, and sculpting was unfamiliar,
Hmm.
but fabric draping was familiar. And I saw an ad in a European magazine for Paverpol,
Hmm.
and I just knew it was for me. I took my instructor's course 10 years ago, and the rest is history. I just love the medium. I work with it every day.
That's so good. That's so good. And then, of course, you became the distributor in Newfoundland. But you told me that there's a recent change as well, right?
Yes, we've had a recent change. I am now the distributor for the Atlantic provinces. We need to get more instructors
Hmm.
because it's an area that's really not been explored. As you said, it's relatively new. Yes, the product is about 20 years old, but people are still just learning about it. And I'll be happy to help people become instructors to teach other people. It's my passion, and I'm sure there are other people out there that would just love this product.
You know, everybody that I've seen so far that got in touch with this medium fell in love with it, right? Because the possibilities are amazing. And the extra fact that if people want to create, for example, garden sculptures that can go outside in the weather, and it doesn't matter where they are in the world, too hot, too cold, the product can withstand that, is really an amazing feature of this. Now, which are the provinces then that you are overseeing right now?
So we have Newfoundland, we have PEI, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick.
That's so cool. That's so cool. You know, we were talking before, of course, this interview started, and we found some commonalities. I told him my sister actually just moved to New Brunswick about 3 days ago. But did you know that my grandfather, his profession was exactly making wedding gowns? So, and
Wow.
yes, and he taught me so much about the fabric and how important it is to touch. So I have very good memories with that. Dwight, would you like to know the countries that are watching you right now, just to make you a little bit more nervous?
Sure.
Okay, so we have USA, Canada, Mexico, Poland, Israel, Australia, South Africa, Spain, Netherlands, Pakistan, Poland, I mentioned, Serbia, and Romania watching you right now. Isn't that cool?
It's fantastic, and
It's
we all
awesome.
have a common interest.
So before we move on, I'd like to show a few pictures of your work, and feel free to comment what has inspired you to make them, and if you made for a special place or a gallery or something, you can comment on those. So let's see the first one.
Uh, I like steampunk art, and it's a great way to recycle old things that we have lying around, and often it would end up in landfill. So this lady is made with an old tablecloth as the basis of what she's made with, and then everything else is just a structure made from wires.
Very cool.
And this one is recycling a very old book that was a little bit more difficult to work with because it would fall apart almost every time that I put the Paverpol product on it. Um, and again, it's recycling at its best. It's another old doily and a piece of a wedding dress, actually.
Hmm.
The
That's
same.
the same thing.
Uh, the same thing with, but with a modern book. It's a great way to get rid of an old textbook.
Oh, and then we have the rooster.
Then we have the rooster out in the yard. I have had some of my pieces outside for 10 years already. And when we just sold our home in Ontario and moved to Newfoundland, one of the conditions of the house was that my 7-foot mermaid that was on the lawn stayed with the house.
Hmm. Very cool. And Dwight, so you're not a native to Newfoundland, correct?
Actually, I am. I was born here, but lived most of my life elsewhere.
Uh-huh.
One of Newfoundlanders' things is no matter where you are, when it's time to retire, you want to come home, as we say in
Yes.
Newfoundland.
Yes. And tell me three things that you think is amazing about living there.
The It's not the climate. That's number one. It is the freedom that we have here.
Mhm.
Um, we have fresh air that is just fantastic. When we go outside, we have the ocean, and the air is just so beautiful here. The scenery is amazing, and the people are so wonderful here.
That's so good. How cold does it get there?
It doesn't really get that cold as it does in the rest of Canada, but it stays cold for about 6 months. Today it's only 5 degrees here,
Oh gosh. Okay.
and we get a lot of rain and fog.
Oh boy. You know, I'm so happy because today it's the first day here in Utah that is going to be above 21 centigrades, which for us is summer weather already. So it's been very cold this winter, but now it's getting warmer. So what do you say if we show everybody that is watching a little bit of the place that you live in?
Certainly.
Awesome. And of course, we want to thank the Newfoundland and Labrador Department of Tourism for making this video available to you. Let's take a watch.
Sometimes all it takes is a breath to lift you up and carry you away to a place with more questions than answers, where your imagination can run free and everything lives and breathes in the moment. And all that matters is in front of you. And while good things come to those that wait, great things come to those that wonder.
Oh, I want to retire there too. That's my new favorite place. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love the last phrase that they show in the video, stay curious. That word has a lot of meaning to me. So Dwight, let's take a look at some of the pieces that you have with you there. And just about the pieces that we show in the pictures, Wendy Jones said, that is exquisite. And Brenda Helfrich, that is so cool. So let's see some of the pieces you have there with you. Which one are you going to choose to show us first?
I am going to show you one of the fun pieces.
Yes.
And it's not typical of what I normally do. I like to work a lot with the bronze color,
Mm-hmm.
but every now and then I just have to break out and add color.
Uh-huh. And what have you
And
used for the feathers?
okay, so this was again outside my box. I just used fabric wrappers on him, and that is the only things that are on him. And he is made with a wire structure,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, I like driftwood.
Yes, and I
Oops,
bet you find
sorry,
a
wrong
lot around.
direction. Yes, and that is one of the things I like to do. I've been known to climb over a huge rock to get to that special piece of driftwood.
Oh gosh. Uh-huh. And how big is this guy?
Whoop, I
Oh,
just lost everybody. I'll be
okay.
right back with you. This piece is approximately 2.5 feet across,
Uh-huh.
and it is probably about 2 feet tall.
Wow, quite a good big guy there. Bree saying about the place,
Yes.
such a beautiful place. I am in love with that place. When I'm not a city girl whatsoever. I like nature a lot. So yeah, perfect place for us to retire or just go visit. Why not, right? Uh,
Exactly.
do
We have
you
the best
have?
of both worlds. We're an hour and a half from the city.
Oh,
So the city is available to us, but we
uh-huh.
live remote.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So do you have another piece to show us?
Sure. Let's find somebody. I'm going to show you a piece that's very similar to the one behind me.
Uh-huh.
This piece is made mostly just with art stone. I do pottery, and I do enjoy working with the art stone and making the rose clay because I don't have to fire it and put it in a kiln.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Okay.
Don is saying, "Oh my
Um,
gosh, the white figures, love those and have not seen them before. Why don't show us one of them for? Oh, look at this. That's a wall piece, right?
okay. I'm not sure. There we go.
Yeah.
This one, there is a little figure down in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to use anything that I can find. His hair is made from a scrunchie.
Uh-huh.
And back when I started with Paverpol, all our products came with styrofoam around them. So the circle's made out of the styrofoam,
Oh, look at
and
that.
then it has a piece of fabric that's draped over it. This is a class that we would do, and it would take about 6 hours to make one like this.
Uh-huh. And it's a wall piece, correct?
It's a wall piece. I don't know if you noticed the piece behind me of the
Oh, yes.
people.
Uh-huh.
I like to paint using the Paverpol, Paverplast, combination of Paverpol and Paverplast to make the medium that I use in my painting. It gives texture and it gives depth to my painting.
So
And then
you didn't.
often I'll outline my figures with the Paverpol.
So did you use acrylic or something else to for the drawing part and the painting, or just the Powerplast with the colors?
So I start with the Paverplast and I add the texture to it. And then I will make the outline with Paverplast and then paint on top of that with acrylic paints.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. So tell me a little bit about, and Joe Rebecca is saying, I love the figure groups. Um, Don said, oh my gosh, the white figures, love those and have not seen them before. Judy saying, that is a gorgeous piece, Dwight. And Bree's asking, Dwight, on the white ones, did you use clear and white material or did you color the Paverpol?
Now, these ones are using the natural fiber. So these were doilies.
Oh,
Just going to
look
lift
at
one up for you
those.
to see here.
Yeah.
So it was clear, purple on this one. And if you get tired of it, you can always paint it later and have a new sculpture in your house to match your decor.
They look gorgeous in
It's
white. I
very
love them.
recyclable and very forgiving.
Uh-huh.
I'll just bring another one close by here so you can have a look.
Oh,
I
he's
like
playing
music,
an
of course,
accordion.
and
Oh.
I incorporate what I like into my sculptures.
Uh-huh.
So
Very good.
I'll just move that
Very
one all
good.
the way. Um, so yes, the clear particle is what I used on these ones.
Okay.
And
Very
each one of them had the steampunk tendencies in them as well.
uh-huh. That and this lady?
This is the latest piece.
Uh-huh.
This is from the class that I taught last week. Everybody made a steampunk piece last week in our
Oh,
class, so I just
cool.
wanted to show that. I'm pretty excited because we haven't been able to teach for a long time, and I
Uh-huh.
actually had a live class last week, so I'm very
Oh, that's awesome.
happy about that.
And you use doilies on this one as well?
This one is very interesting. The wrap that this lady has around her. Most of us are old enough to remember the 1950s, and on the back of all the couches and on the arms, there used to be a little, almost like a placemat. So
Yeah.
this piece is probably about 60, 70 years old that I used on here as a wrap.
Uh-huh.
And of course, it would have been covered with plastic back in these days because the furniture was not meant to be sit on.
That's true. That's gorgeous. I like this is one of the things that really attract me is the recycling part and how we can even get things that have an emotional thing with us. For example, maybe a doily that your grandmother made that you can repurpose
Yes.
that instead of leaving in a drawer. We saw with Gwen that she used a tricycle, a vintage tricycle, to create a full-size sculpture. So it gives us this possibility of, using things that have meaning to us in a new way and repurposing, giving a new purpose, not repurposing, but giving a new purpose to the piece, correct?
Correct.
That's awesome.
The piece that I have in front of me at the moment is a very old lady's Anki, and you can see the
Huh.
finished edges on it,
Awesome.
and that became her top. So once again, it's using sentimental pieces
Uh-huh.
and making them into a garment. So it do look like a garment, even
Uh-huh.
though it's an handkerchief.
That's very cool. Now, Dwight, in this case, for example, I know there's a lot of draping, there is a lot of, that I can see movement in those, in the fabric that you have used. How long does it take you to create a piece like this?
I would make this piece in about 4 or 5 hours.
Okay, oh, not bad at all.
I'm very fast.
And,
I
and the
want instant
face,
gratification.
that's good, that's like me. And the face, what did you use for the face?
It's this one has a porcelain face on it, so ceramic,
Uh-huh,
and so you can make these in advance and then use them to make the piece a little bit more realistic.
uh-huh,
Though I prefer not to have faces on them because then you can imagine them as somebody else and
true,
create stories that
yes.
uh, makes the sculpture come alive.
Yes, true. Now, do you sell your sculptures?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, we had a wonderful art show 2 weeks ago, my first one in 2 years. And I was lucky, I sold most of my major pieces that I had made for the art show. And the interest was amazing because most people never seen Paverpol before.
Uh-huh. Isn't that amazing? Because I know in Canada, for example, you have a lot of lot more distributors than here, for example, and so Paverpol has been around Canada for a while, but it's still extremely new to most people. Correct?
That is correct. Most people have never heard of Paverpol. I think in certain provinces it's probably a little bit more exposed than others, but like moving to Newfoundland 2 years ago, I realized that most people never heard of Paverpol, and it's it's fresh,
Uh-huh.
new,
Yeah,
and we just need more instructors to be able to get this wonderful hobby out to people.
totally
And it's
agree.
a
Now, Dwight, if you were going to sell, for example, the last piece that you showed us, what price point would you put on that one?
I'm just looking her up. She is $245.
Uh-huh. Look at this. Amazing, amazing. You were saying about how it's a new product, and Leslie is saying, I find this very interesting. I've been a polymer clay artist for 24 years. How would you say this is better or different? Have you ever worked with polymer clay, Dwight?
Yes. The polymer clay is wonderful to incorporate in the the fabric art. The fabric art will give you a texture and the draping effects that you can't really do easily. Yes, you can do it with polymer clay, but here you're working with a totally different thing altogether. So incorporating the hands and the face and making props is wonderful. So combining the two, we're seeing a lot of artists doing that at the moment, and I find that very interesting.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, the polymer clay gives the possibility of defined features. For example, if you like to make faces, right? But then you
Correct.
have, if you combine with these other techniques and the Paverpol, you can create bigger pieces. And then there is the weather part that you can also put in the garden and use that. The Paverpol that you used on this piece specifically, was it bronze?
No, this was black. I use
This
a
was the
lot of
black.
black in my sculptures. That way I can put any finish on it that I want to do.
That's very cool. Yeah, it's interesting because I've been noticing more and more that a lot of people like the black because if they add color, for example, it will give a different feel than doing that with white and then adding color.
Correct.
Now, again, for everybody that is interested in knowing more about the product name itself, on the bottom of the screen, you will find three websites. One is for the US, the other one is for the provinces that Dwight represent, and paverpol.com. You click on distributors and there's going to be a list all around the world which distributor is closest to you. And you might want to get in touch with them not only because of the products, but the possibilities of you taking courses. So Dwight, you just told me that you can give in-person classes again right now, correct? Tell me a little bit
That's
about
correct.
how you structure the classes, and then we'll talk about the space that you have.
Fabulous. My classes, I do a one-day class where you will arrive around 9:30 in the morning. We will work on making the frame, the armature. Then we will add to that to make the bodies. And by lunchtime, we have our bodies made and positioned. So during lunchtime, which we always provide a homemade lunch during our classes, which is one of the highlights of our program. The afternoon is spent draping and dressing, creating hair and props that we will use on our sculptures. By the end of the day, around 4 o'clock, everybody will be very excited because they've completed their first sculpture. And in some cases, I've had people do as many as 50 classes with me. So
Wow.
they always find something new. So the wonderful thing about it is everybody has a totally different sculpture at the end of the day, even though we started out with the same armature. We encourage everyone to be individual. I want to inspire, not have you recreate what I've already done. So I'm here to coach each individual to have a piece that's exciting to them. The other thing that we offer is a 5-day immersion program where you come and stay with us. We have 10,000 square feet in our studio, which is a little different. We also provide 6 guest bedrooms, and we provide homemade meals, and we
Oh my
take you
gosh.
sightseeing.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We can get our own
So
driftwood then? Can we go and collect
we are
driftwood?
looking forward to welcoming everybody as soon as this COVID episode is over.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And of course, you offer certification as well for those that want to create a career out of this, right?
That is correct. Yes, and I really want to find more certified instructors so that we can get the product into more people's hands and in the Atlantic provinces. We only have one trained individual in Newfoundland so far, which we were able to certify last year.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm looking forward to being able to teach people in Nova Scotia, PEI, and New Brunswick.
Uh-huh. Yes, I think it's really important for you to think if if of course first you need to dab your hands into the product, see if it talks to you, or not, but it is a great opportunity because it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you do art shows, if you do craft shows, you're going to see that if you start making this type of pieces and taking them there, you're going to be the only one dealing with this medium. And people, it really is jaw dropping when you tell them, you know, this is sculpture. Of course, you can put in your living room, but this one you can leave outside as a garden sculpture. And if you've been following the interviews, there are all sizes of sculptures that can be made with this medium. It's an interesting side business as well. You start teaching, it's super fun. I think we are all really eager to have people around us, right? That's one thing, is that unfulfilled hole in our hearts right now, is this disconnection that we were forced to have. Now we want to be together. Now we want to get together. Not only you're going to be getting together with people during a course, you are going to be empowering them to start something new. And it's an interesting economic extra that you can bring to you as well. So think about it, because it may be really that gold mine that you were looking for, in the sense of find something different, find something that you can tell your stories in the way that you want, like Dwight does. He gets recycled material, he gets old doilies, old fabric, and uses that. I mean, just imagine the possibilities around that for you specifically. And to add to that the fact that you can get groups together and teach them. So think about, okay, maybe I should go deep, take one course first, and then if that's your thing, then you move forward and maybe get a certification and start teaching. Now, I have a few comments here for you first, but then I want to know more about your studio. You said it's bigger than the studio we have here, and you give classes there, so that's phenomenal. But Wendy Jones said, I hope I might add regarding your home, to borrow from Alan Patton, a great South African author. But your land is beautiful. Andrea would love to hear more about the sculptures made from textbooks. So how exactly did you use the textbooks in those sculptures that we saw? And of course, if you have one around you.
Just going to bring one in so
Oh.
you can see it.
Uh-huh.
So instead of using fabric or wrappers on this particular one, I cut up old books. They are cut into little pieces about half an inch wide and probably about 2 to 3 inches long. If they're any longer than that, once the clear Paverpol goes on them, they'll have a tendency to rip when they start getting saturated. So this particular one, everything has been made from the textbook, and then it's been embellished with the tablecloth was cut into small pieces. That's the other thing that you have to do, is when you are looking at a doily, we don't just look at it as a complete doily. There might be only one part that you want to make the garter from, and you say, oh, that's the perfect part. The edging may become a pair of tights or a stocking. You look at another part of it and you'll say, oh, this will make a wonderful bustle. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at your pieces and identify the things within the piece that you're able to turn it into something else. I never look at one piece of fabric as one thing. I try to look at the different parts of the fabrics and deconstruct it.
Great advice. That's great advice. I love that. Norma is saying your pieces are stunning. Rena is saying, love the paper on the faces and hats and on the instruments. Rena, Dwight, do you sculpt the faces and heads and hands, or do you use molds? They are beautiful.
Both, actually. I sometimes will just use wires. I'm going to try to reach around, actually, I'll grab the ballerina, which is close to me. This is a very simple one. And as you can see, the hands are just made with the same wire that we make the armature from. Mm-hmm. So this is a runaway ballerina. And this one is made with just the Paverpol wrappers.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Judy's saying Dwight is not only an amazing artist, but also an excellent teacher. Aha, that's good. So I think she took a class with you. Dwight, let's take a look at some pictures of your place then and tell us how you organize things at classes, etc. We have a few pictures of your place. So let's start here.
Certainly, that's the entrance to the gallery, which acts as a lounge. We really enjoy the lounge gallery because we have the most amazing sunsets, and after spending a day in the studio, we can just sit there and enjoy each other's conversation and get excited about the next workshop they want to do. Um, so this is the entrance to the studio. And this is one section. So we do have two sections in the studio. So there's two conversation pits. So if there's people who want to just sit around and have a chat individually with somebody else, there are couches in one end, and we have the comfy chairs in the other end. We have an amazing view of the harbor from here, and we can see the ocean from here. In July and August months, it's not unusual to be able to see whales in the harbor
Ooh,
as well. The chair that you can just see the little piece is my comfort zone, where I sit almost every night to watch the sunset and to look over the ocean.
very cool. And that piece in the back actually is one of the pieces we had to promote. It's also all done with Paverpol, the wall piece.
Yes, I love to do the flat works, and that's one of my earlier pieces. This particular one is made with a combination of a mop, t-shirt, and some very old doilies.
Very cool.
And the background is done with wrappers. Um, you're seeing a new piece come in there is the mermaid, again, is done in the technique that I'm going to be showing you in the demo.
Oh, cool.
And on the table, there are some puffins. Ah, now we're into the teaching studio.
Uh-huh.
Um, this is very comfortable for 6 people to work. That's also my comfort level because I like to be able to offer individual attention to each person that's in the class. In the background, you can see one of my paintings that's made from pine cones. And I also do some 2D things. The whale that's closest to the cabinet is a 2D, and that one
Oh.
is done with art stone and using my metal technique.
Mm-hmm.
The whale that's on there again is using my metal technique.
Very cool.
The piece of artwork that's close to the cabinet there is done with rose clay, so it's a sculpture more. It's got relief.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's my class from last week when
Oh.
this was approximately around 2 p.m. in the afternoon when everybody was getting inspired. And as you can see, there's no two sculptures looking alike in there.
Uh-huh. They're cool. Oh,
That's a
very
little
cool.
closer up.
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting what you were saying about trying out a class. This particular class, they were all artists, and one of the individuals tried doing a class that had the black Paverpol in it, and she hated it
Uh-huh.
and said, I never want to do that again. And then she saw one of my white figurines and she said, oh, I want to do that. And when she worked with the transparent last week, she enjoyed it immensely and can hardly wait to do another workshop.
Uh-huh. That's cool.
And that's in my studio, which has just got some of the supplies on the bottom, little inspiration of music, and uh, it goes into my private studio, which I wouldn't dare let anyone go in right now because it's chaotic in there. I am a fabric artist. I work with textiles. I love to quilt. I love to do rug hooking. I do felting, and as a matter of fact, you can see some of my little scenes of applique on the middle section of the bookcase. So my studio is chaotic because I will have several projects going at once. I may be in the middle of doing something that inspires me to go on to make something totally different. So like yesterday, I was making a sculpture and an applique at the same time.
Yeah, you know what? We could be best friends. You should come to my studio and
I'm
see
sure.
how many projects we have there. That's a gorgeous place. So do you, and of course that's the view, right?
This is the view from my chair.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I will love that. Very cool.
It's the
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say it's the one place in the world that I have seen the most fantastic sunsets. And I have
Oh,
seen them around the world, but I have to say that every night, no matter whether it rained all day, it almost always presents us with a beautiful sunset at the end of the day.
oh, that's so gorgeous. That's really gorgeous. You know, I cannot complain because Utah is also a very pretty place. And we have the mountains here right now. They're still covered in snow. So it's just getting out of the house and looking at nature empowers us to do anything we want in life. And then you don't only have that in the morning, at night you can see the sunset. So beautiful.
Yes.
No wonder you're a great artist because nature is inspiring you all the time. That's very cool. Do you by any chance have any product with you? Like we
Um,
have a question of, let me find where it is, but she wants to know how Paverpol looks like. So if you have, we
no,
can show.
I don't have any
Okay,
products in front of me at the moment.
okay. Uh, Leslie Umstead is saying, thank you for doing this live. I will definitely look into this new medium. It looks very interesting. Joe Rebecca, runaway ballerina. I love that. Bree's asking, did you make the bike?
No, the bike was a purchase piece.
Okay.
So that's the nice thing about making the sculptures. You can add to anything that you might find. I will often find, as I said earlier, driftwood, pieces of old car, pieces of bicycles, old gears from big motors and things, and I like to incorporate that into my artwork.
That's very cool. Sheila, how wonderfully inspiring with the potential of a new creative addiction. Thank you. Bree, they are all beautiful. And France Montreal, wow, excellent work. Now, Dwight, you have prepared a demo for us, right? A quick demo. Tell us a little bit about what we are going to learn.
So what you're going to see is what I call my rough
Wow.
metal technique.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to try to put this so you can see it. I like to work with things that resemble metal.
Uh-huh.
I am not a welder, but I love the look of it.
Uh-huh.
So this is a larger piece that you can actually see it on. And when people do come to shows, that's the first thing that attracts them. They say, "Oh, it's all metal." And then you will give them the piece that's often very lightweight for them to pick up. And then it's like they start examining it and they'll say, "Well, what's it made of?" And if I say to them, "Oh, it's made from a bed sheet," they look at you and it's like they are amazed. So it's your imagination can just go wild.
I can
And
see
it
the face has a lot of
yes,
texture, so that's the bed sheet.
yes, that's a bed sheet.
Wow.
And I use a lot of sand in my work as well.
Uh-huh.
So this is made with three products. You have your you have your Paverpol, your Paverplast, your Art Stone, and then the last of the finer texture is made with the Parva sand.
Wow. Beautiful. Is this the type of whale you see on your window?
Yes, it's a whale. I'm
Oh.
too close to be able
Yeah,
to
when
show
when
him.
you showed that in the studio, I actually thought it was a small piece. It's quite a large one.
No, it's quite
Gorgeous.
big. Yes, and the piece that was on the table when we were looking at the studio is a different piece. That one is probably about 4 feet long.
Wow. That's so good. Okay, so let's watch that demo.
For Dwight's rough, 'cause I don't know. 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 metal technique. The supplies you'll need is a jar for your Paverpol. I'm using black Paverpol. You will need a wide container to catch the sand. You'll need stir sticks, a spoon, and a 1/2 inch brush. A couple of them will be good. A spatula if you want. And you will need 1 to 2 teaspoons of Paverplas, a cup of Paverpol, 1 to 2 teaspoons of Artstone, and you will need 1 to 3 teaspoons of Parvasand. You'll need acrylic paints. I will be using black, metallic green, and metallic copper. I will start by painting all of the masking tape that is on my project with black Paverpol. I liberally apply it with the brush. You don't want it to be drippy, but you do want to have plenty on there to coat your project. This is going to act as a base to apply the rest of our products to. If there are any parts of the masking tape that's not quite stuck at this time, once it starts to dry, you can just press in on it and press it down so that it will stay in place before we apply the next layer. You just need to give it a quick coating all over. I usually apply from the bottom first and then do the top last. It's not important that everything is covered, but try to apply as much as you can evenly. That will need to dry until it's dry to the touch. And when it's dry to the touch, you can then add to your Paverpol a teaspoonful of Paverplas. Give it a good mixing. The consistency that we're looking for is approximately the same as what a very heavy milk would be. So I have time forward and we now have the Paverpol completely dried, and I'm happy with the consistency of my Paverplas in here. If you find it's not quite thick enough, just go ahead and add another 1/2 teaspoon. Again, I'm going to apply from the bottom. This time I want to make sure that it is completely covered. And we're just about there, just a little bit more to apply. And that completes it. So again, we will let it dry until it's just about completely dry. It has to be dry to the touch. So once it's been dried, I'll speed things up and show you an example. It will be a little bit rough, but not like it was when we applied the Paverpol at first, but it's ready to take the next layer. So to my Paverpol Paverplast, I am now going to add some art stone. So it's approximately a teaspoon right now is what I'm going to add to my jar. And we're going to need this to resemble cottage cheese, basically. So that was not quite enough, so I'm going to add a second teaspoon. This is feeling much better. You want a little bit of lumps in it to give the texture on the sculpture. Just scraping down from the sides. And as you can see, kind of like cottage cheese. So I am going to apply it with a brush. You can go ahead and use a spatula if you want. I have kept the consistency a little bit more runny. I don't really want too heavy on here. It's a small project. If it was a larger project, I would make it much thicker than what this one is. And as you can see, I'm not really brushing it on, I'm kind of dabbing it on. And it's flowing quite nicely. And as I get up where the tail is, I will apply a little bit less. And making sure I've got everything covered. There we go. Now we need to take our container. Well, this is still wet. And our parmesan. So what I normally do is put it over a container that's going to catch what will fall. I don't really, and I'm kind of just shaking it on. I'm not being precise with anything. And it doesn't need to cover everywhere. You just want some texture and roughness on it. So I've been doing about a half a teaspoon at a time, so I'm pretty close to about 3 teaspoons totally. Now I'm just going to take my fingers and pat it in, just so it will stay. As you can see, there is shiny spots still on there, and that's intentional. Okay, so now we'll let this dry. And when it's dry, we want to let it dry completely. When it is, we'll paint everything black. The parmesan and the Paverpol may not be the same color, so I'm just going to give it a quick little paint all over with black paint. Get that Paverplast all the way. And we're good. So normally I would let this sit for a few hours until it's completely dry. And when it is completely dry, then I will do my highlighting on it to make it look more like metal. I'll take a fresh brush for this, and I'm going to apply my bronze or copper, whatever you have on hand. And just take it and dab some of it off. It's not dry brushing. So we're just going to take some dabs randomly and apply it all over. With lots of spaces between. Happy with that. Now, I'm not cleaning my brush. I'm just going to dry it a little bit. Go right into the green metallic. Do the same thing. Brush off the excess. Just go in, make some little overlapping if you wish. You don't want a lot. A little goes a long ways. If you're not happy when it dries, just go back and apply whichever color you would prefer to have a little more of, or if you need both of them again, just go back in and do that. Sometimes I mix the both together, especially for the bottom, just a little bit darker. And I'm quite happy with this. So again, we'll let it dry completely, and when it has dried completely, then you can go ahead and you can put a shellac on. I personally prefer to put on a shellac that's got quite a shine to it. So this is what they will look like when they are completed.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, simply gorgeous. They are awesome. Wow, I was like, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Very cool. Dwight, Joanne is saying, love this, so talented. Leslie, is that way breakable, like with polymer if you apply pressure?
Like everything, if you apply enough pressure, it will be breakable. But for most items that are used utilitarianly, they won't break. If they are frozen and you hit it with something accidentally, it can break, but it's easily fixable as well. That's the one nice thing about the product. Somebody was asking about products earlier. I just want
Yes.
to show a few products that are a little bit close here. So these are some of the products that I use today. So we have the wrappers on here, which is what one whale was made from. And then we have the Heartstone. And the Paverpol comes in, and Paverpol comes in many different sizes as well. And you saw the liquid form of that when I was working with it. And to make the product a little bit thicker, we add the Paverplast to the Paverpol, and you want to make it like a very heavy cream. And then to make the texture, we just added the art stone to it. Another product I use a lot of is the stockinette, which goes into draping very easily. It's a very stretchy product and fun to work with.
Very cool. Joanne is asking, Dwight, why use the Paverplast? What kind of texture does it make? And what does the Paverstone offer as texture?
Okay, they're very different from each other. The Paverplast, if you want to use it to make a sculpture very smooth, it makes it thick and not malleable. That's where the art stone comes in. The art stone comes in where you want to make more texture. So Paverplast will make things smooth. If you want to make it look more like a smooth porcelain finish, then you would add the Paverplast to your Paverpol, making the product thicker. And you can make it as thick as you wish. But if you want to add texture like I did with these puffins and I did with the whale, then what you would do is use the art stone. And then to add a finer texture, I added the Parmesan sand to that. So each one of the products have a different purpose. The Parmesan keeps things very strong. So if it is going outside, it will make your product a little bit more durable. most products are durable once you have the shellac on top of it that helps to protect it as well. So weather-wise, it is perfect to be outside.
That's so cool. Very cool. Now, Dwight, for those people that think, oh, I don't know, maybe I should try this, maybe I'm not. I'm a fiber artist, but I don't know, or I'm a mixed media artist, but I don't know. Tell me three reasons why they should pay more attention to this.
Fun,
More fun?
and a lot more
Nice.
fun. Okay?
We
You
don't use
are
anything
only
else.
limited to your imagination, and you will, for the first time when you put your hands into it and you start working with it, you'll think, oh my gosh, I have so many other things that I want to add this to. It opens up a whole new world. You'll never look at anything in the same way. You're thinking, oh, I could incorporate that into a sculpture, and it, it's a whole new world. It's not like any other fiber because you're using fiber and you're actually making it into something that is solidified and it's hard. That's the nice thing about it is like when you tap this, it's hard. So once you make it, it's there to stay. When you are just draping on a mannequin, you go to reach for a pin and everything falls down. No, this is here, it's permanent. So it's
Nice.
just wonderful. I love working with the product.
That's so cool. Now, Dwight, people now they know more about you. They love your personality. They know you're fun, a fun guy to be around. How can they get in touch with you? And if you use social media, tell us how can we stalk you all the time to get to know more about what you create.
Check out my website, orascapes@eulisite.com. Also, we're on Facebook, and we also have a Paverpol site in Canada, paverpol.ca, and we have a Facebook page that is paverpol.ca as well. So there are many ways. Email is the best way to reach me. I can be reached by a landline. Being remote, we don't have cell service where I live. So
Wow.
it's easy to find me.
That is interesting. No cell phone. So really, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. Because then when you go out to dinner with friends, they are not all looking at their cell phones instead of being there with you. I have one
That's
more
correct.
question from Shawnee. What kind of shellac do you use?
The Josephine shellac is wonderful, and it comes in a high gloss, which I like to use on a lot of my products. I don't usually use a lot of matte, but I love to use the high gloss.
And any final words for the people that are here with you today?
Explore. Paverpol will change your life. It's very relaxing. You can get lost for hours in working with Paverpol, and when you start one project, you'll have several others that's going through your head. And come to Newfoundland and play in my studio, and you, you'll have a whole new look on life.
Aha, aha. So, do you have a calendar of upcoming courses that you have? I know the border is still closed, for example, for Americans to go to Canada right now. But do you have any? What are your plans for this year?
Okay. On my website, you will see classes that are booking now. These are scheduled classes. But the one thing that I have been doing during these COVID times is I do individual classes. So if you want to book an individual class where you are the only person in the room besides me, then I will do a class just for you. I'll also do a family, which are in the same bubble. So we have families that come on a regular basis once a month. So that's a by request, and it's a total relaxation time to get away and family bonding. So that's one of the things I enjoy doing, and the fact that they allow me to be a part of their lives.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, I was going to say if you're too far from Newfoundland, go to paverpol.com, click on distributors, and find someone near you, and you should do that because you will want to do those courses. But why not plan a trip to Newfoundland? You saw the place. You just saw the place, and you say, okay, I have a gorgeous place, and I have Dwight that is so fun to be with. Yeah, cross a little bit because you're going to love this. Dwight, I cannot thank you enough. Bree is saying, thank you so much. Love your metal technique. Karen, thanks for sharing your technique and pieces with us. I think you open our eyes for possibilities with the recycled material, with the textbooks, with the doilies. I always feel sad when I go to a thrift store and I see those doilies there, and I keep thinking, man, those things, they have history behind them, right? Somebody's grandma did that. So before discarding history, your family history inside your house, think about, I could create a piece of art with that, and Dwight just showed you how. So thank you so much, Dwight, and I really hope we have other chances to be working together because you're a fun guy.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. We took a tour in Newfoundland. We met Dwight Saunders. We saw the amazing sculptures that he creates and the possibilities that are there for you. On the 27th of May, I'll be here with Tamara from Australia, and we are going to be talking. We start the interview at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So Google where you are to be able to be here with us, or go to pavermondo.com and put your name and email so you get reminders. Because she's in Australia, it's 8 a.m. there. So that's the reason we are moving our time here. So make sure you're there with us because she's going to show a little bit about her country and, of course, the pieces that she creates. All these interviews, they stay forever, not only at pavermondo.com, but everywhere that you may be watching right now. So why not share this with other people? Right now, for example, we all know we may not talk too much about it, but we know there is a high level of stress and frustration, and even uncertainty of what am I going to do next in certain situations. So by inspiring people to start creating, you're doing them a huge favor. First of all, because if they start playing with Paverpol and fabric and whatever they use, the stress will come out. It will allow their brain to breathe a little good things. The vibration will go up, and then they are going to start seeing new possibilities for themselves and their lives. Not only that, in many cases, it also shows them a new road to work on and sell pieces, or, if they have the certification to start teaching, and that can be very rewarding as well. So share, don't be share shy. That's not a good thing to be. Just put it out there, and you may not even know who you're going to inspire, but somebody will watch and will say, you know what, maybe I have a new road to follow. And that's what we want here. Share this interview, share all the others that we have, and don't forget to be here with me and Tamara not next Thursday, but on the 27th of May, okay? I hope you have enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your participation. Not only me, but the artists, they always appreciate this, that you're engaging and you're, asking them questions. It's just, again, puts our vibration here, and that's where it needs to be. So let's go, like Nashla says all the time, create beautiful things. I'll see you next time.